Welcome to Pesto Comics Audio Edition. This is the entry for April 9th, 2025. How and when to hold back. The importance of letting projects breathe. Welcome back. Anyone who has been here a while knows I say two things a lot. One, I want to be a prolific creator. I think I'm well on track to do that. And two, I've felt burnt out in the past, and I have no interest in returning to that state of being. With that in mind, some telltale signs have started to rear their head. My sleep schedule is totally out of whack. My jaw tightens the more I look at all the tasks before me. I never truly feel like I'm getting ahead in everything I'm trying to do. The good thing about having experienced this before is I know how to cut it off before it becomes a real problem. Better to take the foot off the gas than to plow straight into the wall at full speed. Getting nothing done because you're trying to get everything done isn't productive. It's better to step back, reassess, and build a new plan of attack. There's a way to do it right so you don't lose steam. I'll share what has worked for me in the past, but I'm interested to know if you've had any experiences like this yourself. Let me know in the comments. But first, project updates. From Parts Unknown number 3 is live. We had a pretty good start to From Parts Unknown number 3. It was just a bit shy of the pace of issue 2. One more backer would make all the difference. And the day-to-day pace continues to be steady. I'm a bit jaded since Naked Kaiju Woman was an absolute blowout, but I'm still happy that we've got this funded and aren't that far off from our first stretch goal. Nearly as important is that the follower count continues to grow every day. Hopefully we get a good amount of conversions from that group when we hit the final few days of the campaign. Lots of time before we hit that on April 25th, so I'm not going to get too worked up about it yet. Instead, let's talk about impending burnout and how to avoid letting it take over. Main story. The past 2 months. I knew ramping up was going to be a challenge. I started the year with the blockbuster campaign for Naked Kaiju Woman, and that gave me motivation to speed things up even more. Combine that with Daniel and JP's ability to turn around pages From Parts Unknown at a faster rate than I could write them, and I didn't see a reason not to speed things up. I mapped out the year and plan to have a campaign every 6 weeks. That's 3 weeks of campaign and 3 weeks to fulfill. It seems simple enough. I had a system in place that worked out really well and was way ahead on production. What I underestimated was fulfilling a campaign for a book, like Big Smoke Pulp, be a little different than shipping a flat bagged and boarded comic book. Working with 40 authors was a little bit more challenging to juggle than working with 1 or 2 artists at a time. Naked Kaiju Woman had a lot of backers, some with questions that I tried to answer as quickly as possible. From Parts Unknown would need a lot more help on the marketing side than Naked Kaiju Woman. And though I'm comfortable writing short stories, novellas are a different challenge. I knew this, but I didn't give myself the time to get over the curve when planning and announcing projects. Of course, I came to this realization all at once, all while trying to write this newsletter, a couple of novellas, marketing materials, more comic scripts, and still doing my day job. I found success when focusing on one thing at a time, but given all the irons were in the fire, I had to start picking which to take off entirely. Recognizing what needs more time. Full disclosure, it's one thing in particular that made me feel burnt out. It's my new endeavor of writing novellas. I feel comfortable writing this newsletter, and even ramping it up. The only challenge I have here is making sure I'm home alone so I can yell into the microphone without a sense of shame or stage fright. The act of writing it is cathartic. It's my chance to be myself and share what's going on with all this. So, no stress here. Comics are second nature at this point. I've been reading them since I was in my teens, so for decades now. I understand the language better than I do other forms of media. I've analyzed the work and planned to get here, so when I have a story I want to tell, I feel no hesitation there. Novellas, however, I've only done a handful of times. I'm not going to share them, but they're easily found on the internet if you want to try and Google them. I haven't taken them down. I just won't make it too easy for you, as they've never seen an editor's desk, and I think it shows. My new novellas, however, are meant to be as professional as possible. They get more than just a cursory proofread or a pass through some clunky AI tool to get them to a semi-publishable state. These novellas are meant to be fit for production. For that reason, I've decided to shuffle the schedule a bit. My goal is to have everything ready in time for the Toronto Indie Authors Conference at the end of April. I pictured myself sitting at round tables, talking about the success of my first of many novellas available to read. After a while, I knew I wasn't going to reach that goal. So I pushed the first series, which I shared the name of with paid subscribers last week, out until after From Parts Unknown number 4 is launched. Looking at it again, now I'm aiming for late summer. This shuffles things around a bit, as I have another novel project launching in time for Kickstarter's Heartstrings and Hardbacks campaign in July. With that being a hard deadline, I knew I had to reshift focus entirely. That doesn't mean changing projects meant I'm getting work done any faster. The difference between improvement and perfectionism. With Naked Kaiju Woman, I had the art in hand well before the campaign ever ended. I was lettering the inked pages while JP colored them, so it should have been an easy tweak here or there just to make sure everything lined up when I received the final pages. Instead, I found myself tweaking endlessly and holding up production a little bit. With it being such a successful campaign, I felt an added pressure to make it perfect. I wanted to make sure that there wasn't a wasted word. I wanted it to be breezy while still maintaining the depth I promised it would have. Early reviews on the digital version seem to say I may have achieved that. And thanks to those of you that shared the kind words, it means everything that you enjoyed it. Still, by the final few days, my tweaks were minor at best. I would have readjusted the speech bubbles for a year if you let me. It's worse when it's only my writing, without the beautiful art by Raphael and JP to hide my flaws. I feel even more exposed and even more pressure to make sure every sentence sings. That's before I even get the work to an editor. I think there's a virtue in that. It's important to make sure that the work's the best you can possibly make it before sending it on to the next stage, but you have to know when it becomes a matter of diminishing returns. At some point, placing a comma here or a conjunction there is missing the forest for the trees. It's a lesson I'm still learning with these novellas. Staying on task. Just because I've decided to push the deadlines I've set for these novellas out a little bit doesn't mean I've ceased working on them. A flaw I know I have is I'm very deadline driven. If I know I have 2 weeks to work on something, it means I have a week before I really have to start taking it seriously. It's a detrimental way of operating. For this reason, although I'm pushing release dates, I'm trying to maintain my completion dates behind the scenes. I'm working as though nothing has changed. I know it's not true, but I'm trying to fool myself into moving forward full tilt and maintaining the pace I've been hitting so far in 2025. As far as these novellas go, I know I'm well built for that world. The name of the game in indie publishing is rapid release, especially for novellas. The only way I'm going to do that is if I have the work ready and waiting to hit the ground running. I can do that if I'm constantly working on it. That's a lot easier to do and do it well without an axe swinging over my head by promising tight deadlines to you all. The last thing I want to do is disappoint you by releasing something that isn't ready for prime time just to hit an arbitrary deadline I've set for myself. What about the comics? Most of my stress and my toying with deadlines is in the novella space. That said, I'm going to push things a little when it comes to comics too. With From Parts Unknown number 3, I want to get both issue 2 and 3 into as many hands as possible before I launch the 4th and final campaign for the series. Leaving just 19 days between campaigns makes that nearly impossible, so I've decided to push that out until May 28th. This means the campaign will be live during TCAF and the East Coast Comic Expo as well. Maybe getting the first 3 issues in everyone's hands there will give that final campaign a boost. I've just received the 9th page of Naked Kaiju Woman number 2 from Raphael, and although I could get a pre-launch page up for that today, I'm holding off as the title itself is a spoiler for the first book. I'd rather wait until folks have the book in their hands before launching that page. That said, we're still on schedule for that book to come out in August around Fan Expo Canada. I'll have a new series launching in the fall. I'm working with an artist you've seen recently, but we haven't locked down anything yet. I hesitate to share until we've confirmed we're 100% moving forward together. The second I can announce with a pre-launch page, I will. He's not the only artist I'm working on a second project with. There's actually 2 artists on 2 projects I'm returning to. One is being pitched to publishers. The other is something a little different than what you're used to, as we're testing the waters with some new distribution methods. I'll share all the details first with paid subscribers, of course, then to the wider audience once everything is matter of fact and nearly ready. If you're interested in a preview, I'm still offering the 60-day free trial for the early access paid tier. All said, the comics are swimming along just fine, and the novellas are coming up behind them. Deadlines to meet. I've set a lot of deadlines for myself, sharing the release calendar through 2026. I've decided to scale that back a bit to just show the next 8 months. This way I'm not constantly shifting and changing projects further into the future. I have a good sense of what I can do and what needs more time, but I'm always learning more about what I'm capable of. I'm trying to cover all kinds of different angles. Comics are just the start, novellas are another avenue, but I have even more planned that I haven't been too quiet about either. Trading card games, anyone? I've also been trying to learn some new skills and redevelop some old ones. I'm back at the gym 3 days a week, trying to undo the damage of Christmas, Valentine's Day, and Easter. Have you ever had a Zeppeli? I'm learning Pilates for the first time. I'm taking a woodworking course with my wife. More importantly, for the comics crowd, I'm taking learning to draw more seriously than ever. I'm sure I'll have a post about that soon. I have a tendency to overfill my plate. I'm well aware of this. It's that awareness that helps me know what to push back and what to carry forward with. I hope I'm making the right decision. Only time will tell. As always, I appreciate you being here for all of it. Until next time. Coming up on the Substack, Saturday, April 12th, our next paid post, Up and Udo, the full behind the scenes of creating unlimited Udo. And on Wednesday, April 16th, getting to the point, why YouTube is overtaking media. And on Saturday, April 19th, the third entry of Elsewhere in the Universe. There we'll talk about Substacks, some interesting Kickstarters, some cool indie comics, TV shows, and movies. And on Wednesday, April 23rd, another free post, Double Fulfillment, Naked Kaiju Woman and Big Smoke Pulp Volume 1, fulfilling both of those projects. And where you can find me in the near future. As I mentioned in the post itself, I'll be at the Toronto Comics Arts Festival. That's TCAF, June 6th through 8th. And then the following week, I'll be in Moncton, New Brunswick at the East Coast Comic Expo. And all the way in September, you can find me at Word on the Street in Toronto at the Queen's Park Circle. I am still on the waitlist for 4 different conventions. That is Montreal Comic Con, Fan Expo Canada in Toronto, and Ottawa Comic Con. And I threw my name in for the lottery at the Small Press Expo in Maryland. And what I'll be attending. So at the end of April, you can find me at the Toronto Indie Authors Conference. Once again, I'm waiting for my tickets to New York Comic Con. And I may go to Author Nation. I'm very much on the fence about this one. I may pull it from the schedule. We'll see. With everything that's going on in the world, I'm trying to be very careful where I'm picking and choosing to go. And Author Nation may just fall off the list. But you could certainly find me at the Toronto Indie Author Conference and New York Comic Con walking the floors there. And the Pesto Comics release calendar. You can always scroll to the bottom of the post on Substack and find it there. As I said, I've cleaned it up a little bit so that, one, you can see the calendar a lot clearer. It's a little bit bigger now. And it doesn't go as far into the future. If you pay attention week to week, you know that I'm constantly shuffling what is there. So the best way to know what's coming up next is to scroll to the bottom of the post on Substack and see what's coming up. And on the Instant Ink Comic Book Podcast, we have our second episode with Ace Renshaw. This is a brilliant young creator from overseas, from where I'm at in Toronto. I met her at Thought Bubble in the UK. She was my neighbor. She was very excited to be on. She's been boosting it all over Instagram and that. So the first episode has been one of our most popular shows yet. We got a lot of new fans thanks to her. So it's well worth checking out. She has a lot of cool things to say. So check out this week's episode of podcast. And with that, I want to thank you for listening. I appreciate the support. It always means a lot. And yeah, I'm always thinking about how I can do better and how I can improve and how I could do more. And sometimes more doesn't always mean better. And it's a balance I've always had to strike. I feel like as I get a hang on things, I'm always looking for a new challenge. And sometimes that challenge just is loading my plate. And that's not always the best way to about going things. It leads to me losing focus on things that I've already committed to and things that I need to get out there. So I don't want the support that I've had on projects and that to suffer while I'm chasing the shiny object. So that means specifically for the novellas, which is more work than any of the other projects I'm doing, because it's so new to me, I'm putting so much effort into it and so much time into it, and putting it on the same track and the same timeline that I do the comics is kind of unfair. Like when I started with Unlimited Udo, which again we'll talk about on the paid post this weekend, I gave myself plenty of time to make sure that I was doing it right. I did it again with the follow-up and Stay Cool. And then the time between Stay Cool and crazy latte thing called Love Was the Longest, because now I was working with Matthias, someone who was working actively with all the big publishers out there. So his work style was a lot more back and forth, was a lot more co-creating in the sense of how it was all designed and ideas he had for characters and settings. And there's a lot of back and forth there. So it was a lot different and actually dove in and focused. But once I did that, I felt like I was ready to just start getting comics out. And I still feel that. I know I'm confident in what I'm capable of doing and how to get comics out at a relatively decent clip. And I thought I could maintain that type of pace with my novellas, which obviously I can't, because that is, again, I should be treating it more like I have Unlimited Udo and giving it the time and the attention that it needs to make sure that I'm doing it right. So that's what I'm doing. Rather than just setting a deadline with the hopes of just having things out there, I'd rather have great things out there that people want to read, that want to check out, and hopefully continue to grow this fan base and get more people under the tent. So hopefully I can keep making this and getting this work out there because I have so many stories to tell. I have so many things I want to share, and I'm excited and I want to do all of it at once. And really, I think I'm better served by taking a breath and making sure it's done right. So I think you'd agree with me. I don't think you guys are eager to read anything half-baked. So I'm not saying anything that I think anyone's going to be terribly upset about, but I just wanted to share my experience where it's something that I actually did have to tell myself, stop, take a breath, step back, and then you can come back to it later. So that was a new experience for me to put my foot on the brake and really just move things around dramatically in the sense of how long I'm going to wait now to get this work out there. But I definitely feel better about it. I feel like it's the right thing to do. I'm not letting an arbitrary deadline get in my way. And it allows me to focus on getting the Kickstarter campaigns out there, which is really my true focus. And the same goes for From Parts Unknown #4. I think it's important to give that some room to breathe, some room to collect the pre-launch followers, and to get people to read 2 and 3, right? That was a big thing. I'm still waiting on the prints for From Parts Unknown #2 as I speak now. The surveys I was hoping to get out by last post, and they're still being held up a little bit by the backer kit approval process. I'm hoping either by the time this one does get out or shortly after, surveys will be out, meaning everybody will have the digital copies to read. But as far as the physical ones go, like, they haven't hit my door yet, so I haven't been able to send them anywhere. And now I'm telling people to get the next issue without having read the second one. It feels silly. So my hope is to get it and in everyone's hands before I launch the 4th one. I think that obviously makes the most sense. And yeah, so I appreciate you being here with me as I learn as I go here. It means a lot that you're actually here to do it with me. But with that, I want to thank you for your time. It means a lot. Once again, if you're a paid subscriber, please check out Saturday's post. If you're not a paid subscriber, you do get that little bit of a preview. The last paid one actually got a few likes and things just based on the intro, which, again, thank you very much, guys. That was very nice. But yeah, if you want to check out the paid posts, again, we have a 60-day free trial. If you sign up for the year, you can cancel before the 60 days are up and you don't get charged anything. So if you're interested, that's a good place to check it out. And beyond that, again, I'm trying to keep these prices as low as possible, but I still want to have a little bit of a barrier to entry, as I do share a bit more than I typically do on the Wednesday posts. So if you're interested in any of the behind the scenes of how this is all happening, the Saturday posts are where you want to be. With that, I'll stop selling you. I just want to thank you for being here. It means a ton. We'll talk again soon. Bye.